Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, the Islamic movement of Nigeria protests as Judicial Commission submits report of inquiry into deadly clash with soldiers in Zaria to the Kaduna State Governor. Court dismisses Omisore's application for bail, rules that the former Osun State Deputy Governor's motion lacks merit. Former Kaduna State Governor Balarabe Musa urges President Buhari to intervene in the legislative-executive face-off to avoid anarchy. And global outrage trails killing of over 80 people in terror attack in France.
On business news tonight, Naira hits 292 Naira 50 kobo against the US dollar on market-based price formation.
On sports news tonight, federal government blocks inclusion of top officials in Nigeria's contingent to next month's Olympics in Rio.
I'm Gloria Omisore from Abuja. Chief Justice of Nigeria raises concern over increased kidnapping of women, especially in the country's northeast region.
The Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the December 12, 2015 clash between soldiers and members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria in Zaria, Kaduna State, has submitted its final report to the State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai. The chairman of the commission, Justice Muhammad Garba, says the panel received over 3,000 submissions from different groups and individuals.
The Kaduna State Judicial Commission of Inquiry, set up by the state government to find out the December 12, 2015 bloody clash in Zaria between the Nigerian army and members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria over an alleged attempted assassination of the Chief of Army Staff by members of the movement, has submitted its report to the state governor, Nasir El-Rufai. The chairman of the commission, Justice Muhammad Garba, informed the governor that the group failed to make presentation during the sitting.
For no reason known to the commission, because there was no formal communication to the commission on why they decided not to continue their appearance before the commission. However, like everybody else, we've been reading in papers, newspapers, online, and other avenues that they did not want to appear. And at the end of the day, we've been able to finally produce a report of the Commission's assignment.
After receiving the report, Governor El-Rufai assures the panel that the report will be studied and implemented.
Kaduna State has suffered too much from at least 10 rounds of ethnic and religious violence. We hope that this inquiry process, the final report that you presented today, will help ensure that the legacy of violent disorder and the catastrophic toll in lives and property are finally consigned to the past.
The spokesman for the group, Ibrahim Musa, says the only path to peace is the unconditional release of their leader, El Zakzaki, and other members of the group from detention.
They suppose in the first instance that they should have selected some people, even not members of the movement, but those who are somehow sympathizing with the movement, so that they can at least bring out something from the side of the movement. And also there is no representation of human rights groups, neither from the local human rights groups or the international rights groups.
The governor says the commission's report will not be made public for the time being. However, expectations are high that all the recommendations made by the commission will help prevent a recurrence.
A Federal Capital Territory High Court has turned down the bail application of the former Deputy Governor of Osun State, Omisore, who is presently in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for alleged fraud worth 60 billion naira. Ruling on the former Deputy Governor's bail application, Justice Olukayode Adeni held that his application for bail is incompetent. Justice Adeni asked Mr. Omisore to await the expiration of the 14-day remand order granted by a court of coordinate jurisdiction before exercising his right to bail. The judge held that any attempt to grant the bail application would be tantamount to vacating a subsisting order made by the same court. The judge said counsel to Mr. Omisore failed to convince the court of its power under the law to obtain its own order and sit as an appellate court. In the meantime, former Minister of Aviation and Director General of the Goodluck Jonathan campaign, Chief Femi FaniKayode, has regained his freedom after over 2 months in EFCC custody. Mr. FaniKayode was arrested by the anti-graft agency over an alleged 1.5 billion naira fraud and has been charged alongside former Minister of Finance, Senator Nanadi Usman, a firm, Joint Trust Dimensions Limited, and one Jimoh Yusuf. Mr. FaniKayode was released around 6:30 p.m. in Lagos, and shortly after his release, the former aviation minister told Channels Television that although it was the worst experience of his life, he's thankful to be free after 67 days in detention. He added, "I'm innocent of all the charges, and I look forward to defending myself vigorously in court. These charges are politically motivated, and I have been severely punished for my political views and criticisms of the government." The federal government says there's no truth in the insinuation in some quarters that the report of the Presidential Committee on the audit of defense equipment procurement in the armed forces between 2007 and 2015 was doctored for whatever reason. Reacting to the allegations today, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, said what has been released so far is a report of the audit covering the period 2011 to 2015, adding that the committee would commence the audit of procurement from 2007 to 2010 as soon as the necessary documents are available. The statement reads, quote, "When the documents regarding procurement from 2007 to 2010 are available and scrutinized, the committee will then issue its report on that. The audit is being done in phases, and the report that was released on Thursday is the third of such." He gave the assurance that the federal government's anti-corruption fight is non-discriminatory and called on Nigerians to keep an open mind as events unfold. Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Gloria Umizoke. Hey, Gloria.
Hello, Ijoma. Good to see you and welcome to Abuja, the nation's capital. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, has condemned the increased kidnapping of women, especially in the northeast, saying it is an unhealthy development. Well, speaking at the 2016 National Conference of Women Judges, Justice Mohammed, who was represented by Justice Clara Ogumbiyi, called on the judiciary to be more sensitive in handling cases of kidnap in order to arrest the situation. The Chief Justice advised judges to devise ways of extending the ambit of justice to meet the needs of more vulnerable persons such as widows, victims of sexual assault, victims of domestic violence, as well as the girl child.
It is the 2016 Annual National Conference of Women Judges in Nigeria as female judges from across the country converged on Abuja. Addressing participants at the conference, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who was represented by a Justice of the Supreme Court, challenged the judiciary to protect vulnerable persons in the society, especially kidnapped victims.
Other attendant issues such as access to justice have also emerged requiring due attention as well. This conference therefore presents a veritable avenue for the association to contribute its quota as we devise ways to extend the ambit of justice so as to better meet the needs of more vulnerable persons such as widows, victims of sexual violence, and assault complainants in domestic violence cases, as well as the girl child, the often silent observer of abuse, violence, absence from school, among other indentured forms of discrimination.
The president of the National Association of Women Judges explains the objective of the conference.
The objectives of the IWJ and NAWJN includes advancing women's rights to equal justice, promoting women's access to the courts, increasing the number of women judges at all levels, organizing and strengthening women judges associations, developing judicial leadership, conducting legal research on gender equality and human rights, exchanging information on issues of critical concern to women, and uprooting gender bias from judicial systems.
Participants at the conference are expected to brainstorm on ways of ensuring access to justice and speedy dispensation of cases as it affects vulnerable persons and victims of kidnap, serial assault and domestic violence.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria police say they have smashed some notorious kidnap gangs that have terrorized Kogi State and its environs and rescued 4 kidnap victims at different locations in the state. In a statement, the police revealed that this was the result of a special intelligence-led operation conducted by the operatives of Intelligence Response Team of the IGP's monitoring unit. It adds that 3 members of the group were trailed and arrested at their hideouts after an exchange of gunfire which left 2 policemen injured. According to the police, 3 members of another kidnapped gang that abducted 3 people from Acharu Egume area of Kogi State were also arrested. Their confession led to the rescue of the victims, for whom the alleged kidnappers allegedly demanded a ransom of 20 million naira. The ongoing executive-legislative face-off has continued to attract comments from prominent Nigerians. This time, a former governor of Kaduna State, Mr. Balarabe Musa, is urging President Muhammadu Buhari to step in and resolve the issues to avoid anarchy in the land. Mr. Musa described as unhealthy for the country the allegation of illegality leveled against the 2 principal officers of the National Assembly. He, however, condemned the plan to extend the immunity provision for the Senate President and his deputy, describing it as ill-timed.
I think the way forward for Nigeria is first the President, who is the most responsible representative in the country, to go into this matter and solve this crisis. He has the moral authority, he has the legal mandate to go into this matter and solve it amicably. It may be impossible for him because the other side may not be amenable to reason. I hope that is not the case. What I mean is the legislature may not be amenable to reason and therefore may not agree with the president no matter how he tries. But let him try. The public will judge. If care is not taken, it will lead to violence. It may lead to anarchy. It may lead to revolution. Anything is possible, because remember, this is conflict between the legislature and the executive.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has appealed against the judgment of a federal high court in Lagos, which declared as illegal the electricity tariff currently charged by the 11 distribution companies in the country. Well, speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the acting executive secretary of the commission, Mr. Anthony Akan, described the ruling as a major setback on the progress made in the country's electricity sector. According to him, the judgment affects the multi-year tariff order, which has engendered a lot of improvement in the sector.
This judgment, in our view, is a setback to the progress made so far in the electricity sector. Therefore, while we respect this judgment, we will challenge this decision. We have instructed our lawyer to appeal. Consequently, the Commission has filed for stay of execution and a notice of appeal of the judgment yesterday. We understand that the private power production and distribution is relatively new in Nigeria, and that developments such as this court ruling must be seen in that context.
Well, that's it from Abuja. It's over now to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Gloria. Now in part 2, after the break, lawmakers from South-South and South-East oppose grazing bill before the National Assembly. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.